All right. Well, welcome everyone once again to another episode of Nutrition Secrets for Fighting COVID-19. And I'm here once again with Fran Fletcher. Hi, Fran. Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you.
Yes, I'm glad you could join us here today. And I see you're in your kitchen, ready with your equipment and food and ingredients. And that's really what we're here today going to look at is basically the practical side of what you covered last time when it comes to cardiac health. There are natural foods, plant-based, that we can take into our diets and make a daily part of our lives. And that's looks great on a presentation that we did or on video, but then there comes the practical side of that. What does it actually look like on a daily basis? Just to jog everyone's memory a little bit here, we covered last time how you were saying, Fran, that plant-based foods that are natural and as wholesome and natural as possible can really tell in a powerful way on our cardiac system when it comes to keeping the arteries supple, to making the lining as smooth and supple as possible so the blood is transmitted well, the blockage doesn't happen as easily, or we're not as susceptible to blockage. So I am eager to hear about how that looks on a daily basis when it comes to what's breakfast like, what's lunch like, what's supper like, and how do we affordably and simply plan our menu and achieve that kind of health for God's glory. So yeah, I'm eager to hear what you have for us today. So I'll hand it over to you and you can show us what you got.
Great. You know, as I thought about this presentation, I thought about what starts our day food-wise, and it's breakfast. And I know for a lot of people, breakfast is like a coffee and a donut on the run. Or maybe you stop at a drive-in restaurant and you pick up a bagel with an egg and patties on it and some cheese, and you've got a bagel, I don't know what you call them. I know they used to call them egg muffins when you use an English muffin.
Right.
And you're just zooming out the door. And I know these well because we used to make them at home with the English muffin and an egg beater egg. And that's that egg stuff that comes in a carton and you pour it out. And then we used Morning Star breakfast patties. And we would make these. We really enjoyed them. And we weren't the coffee donut people, but we weren't the healthy-minded eaters either. I mean, we didn't think we were doing bad, but obviously our bodies had a different story. And so when we made this transition, this lifestyle change, breakfast changed. And the reason it changed was, one thing, we needed to get rid of the stuff that was killing us. And two, it breaks that fast. If you take the word breakfast and you separate it, you have break fast. And what that means is you have been fasting, hopefully, since supper the night before. And so let's say you ate at 4 o'clock, dinner, or 5 o'clock. So by 5 a.m., you've got 12 hours of a fast. Let's say you eat at 7:30. What does that give you? 14 and a half hours of fast. And during that time, your body is in repair mode. It's in mentally, you're sorting and refiling things as you sleep. Your body is using those calories, those minerals, those nutrients that you took in the day before. And when you wake up in the morning, your body says, I'm ready to go. I need refueling. Although I have to admit, we have gotten back onto a hiking program in the last couple of weeks. And so usually we do it wait till my husband gets home and then we hit the trail. But on Saturday and Sunday and this morning, we had the opportunity to hit the trail really early. Now, really early is like 7:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30. And we did a new trail today. And this trail was the first trail I could say was almost 100% up. And I actually go easier on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. Now that doesn't make any sense. I don't know why that's happening, but it's much easier than hiking at the end of the day for me. But anyway, after we come back, I think Pastor has a picture to show you what we had for breakfast this morning.
Okay, do you want me to show that now at this point?
Yes, if you would, please.
All right, I'll throw it up here. All right, wow, that looks tasty and sweet, man.
This is 6-day-a-week breakfast, and it modifies with the seasons. So we start with a bowl of steel cut oats. My husband puts them in the Instant Pot the night before, and he programs it. So in the morning, after we're up, ready to eat, that is ready to go. And we just take it out. And what that bowl has in it is a tablespoon of ground flaxseed. So that's not a tablespoon before it's ground, it's a tablespoon after it's ground. A flax turned in, and that one you're seeing with blueberries, raspberries, and grapes and strawberries. Winter time, we usually have grapes sliced up on it, and then we have frozen cherries and frozen blueberries is most common in the winter months. So we put the frozen berries down in the bottom of the bowl and heat the hot on top. And that is our 6-day-a-week breakfast. My husband adds raisins to it. Sometimes we cook dates in it just to add a little sweetener. Now, this is a big transition for me because I have never been an oat lover. And the way I got them down was with a pat of butter and brown sugar. So it was a real transition.
Yeah.
But and you could put a little sugar on here or maple syrup or whatever you need to sweeten it up a little. For me, as long as I have a piece of fruit or a half a piece of fruit and every bite, I'm good to go, which is quite remarkable. Up in the corner is a slice of whole wheat toast. We happen to make our own bread at home, but there are some on the market that are quite good. And that one has sliced bananas and sliced nectarines because that's what we happen to have this morning. My very favorite thing on toast is leftover refried beans or mashed up beans from another meal. That is my favorite. And even my husband has learned to like that. But you could put on no added sugar jam on that. You know, it's kind of take those raspberries and put a berry on each bite. You know, you can make it pretty interesting. You don't have to suffer through this.
Yeah.
Tasty. This is just how we do it. I know people make rice puddings and millet puddings for breakfast, and we have just found for us the oats works best. And the interesting thing about oats is the non-soluble fibers in it, and those being that they don't dissolve anywhere in the gut. But in the morning hours, after you awaken, that is when the bile or the cholesterols coming, I probably won't get this right, are secreted out into the intestinal tract in an area. And if this oat fiber happens to be there, which it will be if you eat it for breakfast, it is like a broom. It grabs all of that stuff and passes it through your digestive tract. If the fiber isn't there, this non-soluble fiber isn't there, it goes back. I hope I have that right. I should have reread. There's soluble and non-soluble, and you want both. And oats have to be very high in it. And so it's very motivating for us too, because it's a bowl of oats and an apple can do remarkable things for your total cholesterol level. If you just add that to your diet for 14 days, you will see a change in your total cholesterol.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah. And I understand that these foods, they're actually quite filling for one thing. But even though they're filling, they're very fuel oriented, I guess you could say. The body can break it down well and turn in energy pretty quick. Yeah.
It can. You know, even if you just ate one banana, it would give you about 2 hours of enough energy for 2 hours of really hard workout.
Wow.
God really packed things really well. You know, another thing people wonder, I said we eat that 6 days a week. Sometimes when we're in a rush, we eat it 7 days a week. But I just want to take a moment and show you what we call a buckaroo breakfast. And the morning that we have time to do that is usually on a Sunday morning. And I'm going to try to adjust this down so you won't be looking at me, but you'll be looking at me. Okay, ordinary plate. And these waffles, this one isn't quite filled out all the way, but we'll have a waffle, and due to space, I'm going to do a half. And we usually have 2 of these. And what these are quick oats, a tablespoon of apple juice concentrate for browning. They have cornmeal, whole flaxseed, water, a little cornstarch to give it stability, and salt, and that's it. And what I do now, Arlen does it different. He always puts applesauce. I do a little, and this happens to be a homemade yogurt, a soy yogurt. I do just a little bit. And then we add whatever fruit we have, and it can be canned, frozen that you've warmed up. This, whoops, happens to be a strawberry one.
Oh man, that looks delicious.
And then we add in some blueberries and raspberries. And normally what we do is we have the whole waffle and we eat that, and then we put on the rest of our food after we're done with this. And you can also just take a little maple syrup if you want, and just do a tiny drizzle. Just give it a little boost. And then we do a scrambled tofu.
Oh my.
Beside it.
Wow, that looks zesty. Could just tell by the color there, it looks zesty, man.
Tofu, you can add green peppers, red peppers, mushrooms, onion, whatever you want in it.
I know my wife, she likes to add olives to the tofu, so I really enjoy that as well.
I'll have to try it. And then these are just, they did brown, just so you know, but as I did them, I get the underneath. So I'm making this look like a very petite sample. Now, normally for us, we would have the whole waffle, and then we'd come back to the potatoes and the scrambled tofu. And you can top them however you want, with salsa, whatever you like on your scrambled eggs or fried potatoes. The difference is the potatoes, I toss, these are frozen potato cubes that just have dextrose on them for browning. So it isn't much, there's the whole food. And then it's the red pepper and sweet onion, and then just some salt. But you could put whatever you want to season them. And then normally I bake them in a casserole dish at about 375 for an hour to an hour and a half to get them kind of crunchy. These I dumped out onto a cookie sheet. And before,
I was wondering, Fran, could you show that a little bit closer to the screen just so we can get all the luscious detail in there? I just, oh wow, that's mouth-watering, folks. Wow, that is delicious. Thank you, appreciate it.
And you know, one thing that is really good, if you take frozen raspberries and fresh mango, and you heat those raspberries up just enough to get them thawed and add a tiny bit of cornstarch, and then mix in your fresh cubed up mango, that is the ultimate taste.
Yeah.
But I'm a mango lover. So what I want to do is show you right quick, before I go on, my husband is actually the Sunday morning waffle maker. I hardly ever make them. It is his job. He likes to do it, and his turn out perfect. So what you do is you put the ingredients in your blender, and I don't know if you can see, it's kind of on the thickish side, but not as thick as pancake batter. And so have your waffle iron nice and heated. Let me tip this down just a little. And we happen to have, I gave him I think I bought this for him for a birthday or something. It's one of those wearing double waffle makers, Belgian makers. And so we get two at once.
Ah, I
Um,
see.
and the thing is, there is no leavening, no baking powder or baking soda in this. So you want to fill your oven, your waffle iron almost all full, so it'll spread out. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's
for
good.
us, it's a pour and a flip. And then we have a second side.
Oh, wow.
And this recipe makes about really 2.5 waffles. And so what we do is we double it, the recipe. We make them all up. And then the extra ones we put in the freezer. And all you have to do is take them out and put them in a 350-degree oven for about 9 to 10 minutes, and they're crunchy and ready to go again. All right, because
Gotcha.
there's no leavening, and this is a whole grain, it takes about 9 minutes in our waffle iron. Oops, wrong button, just a moment. Okay,
There
there.
you go.
And so the other things we will do on Sunday morning is make a French toast. You can buy sourdough, 100% whole wheat breads at most grocery stores. And there is a, I think it's called Love of Lemons. And she has a wonderful vegan recipe on there for French toast that we use exclusively. I don't vary it, I just do it. And the other thing we do is we make pancakes. We'll have pancakes, but most often I have to say it's the waffles, because my husband really enjoys the waffles. So I hope that gives you a little idea. Breakfast does not need to be complicated. There are so many recipes on how to do overnight oats, how to make a millet parfait, how to make a chia pudding and layer that in. There's so much stuff out on the internet now. When we started, there wasn't anything, and so we had to scramble to get our mind around it. And maybe I shouldn't say there wasn't anything. There were some things, but I just wasn't totally aware of them, or I didn't think of them in those terms. Like Seven Secrets, their first book was Something Better. And it was this whole thing, and I had that book, and we had used that for a long time, and then drifted away. And now I've come back to it through Seven Secrets and her Something Better cookbooks. Those are worth their weight in gold for me. They're wonderful.
Nice.
Okay, so we kind of looked at breakfast. Oh yeah, Arnon just gave me this one. He handed it to me. This is old. This is old, but it's a jewel if you can find it. And it has a wealth of information in it. In fact, when we became vegetarian, that was the cookbook we relied on. And it wasn't till we drifted from that we ran into problems. So the Brackets are really wonderful people. But anyway, I wanted to talk a bit more, cover a few more secrets to health and to staying healthy and building your immune system up before I go into menu planning. And one of those is water. Water, I don't know if anybody else has covered it, but a minimum for me is 2 quarts. And now hiking, I'm trying to really pick that up. But water drinking was never something that I liked before we changed our lifestyle. I always had to have it flavored or a juice. And it was a learning process. And now to keep track of how much water I'm getting, I keep a quart jar beside the sink.
Oh, okay.
I fill it in the morning, and I try to get 1 quart in before even breakfast, like a half hour before breakfast. And then I'm trying hard to get a quart in before noon. And the reason being is the more water I get in earlier in the day, the less likely I have to get up to go to the bathroom at night.
Right.
And it's easier to help when you've got your fluid in earlier in the morning.
That's good.
And the only way I can keep track of it is via a quart jar. And I know lots of people can do it otherwise, but for me, it's the quart jar beside the sink. So every time I come in the kitchen, I see it and I get a swallow. So that is so important. It is a natural blood thinner. And we don't want thin blood, or we bleed out. But you want your blood to flow freely. And water drinking is one of the biggest bonuses to do that. And it really is very inexpensive to do it too. And it doesn't add any calories. It doesn't add any fat. It's just a free, wonderful blessing. And
Good
so
Lord.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Pardon?
Oh, I was just saying that's awesome. And I like the way you did that way of measuring how much you're taking too, because often I heard people say, well, I only drink when I'm thirsty, but that's actually not a good rule of thumb for what your body needs, because you need to be rehydrated on a more regular basis. Even if you don't feel it, it's important.
That when our body says we're thirsty, we are getting very dehydrated.
Right, exactly.
It's cry for help.
Yeah.
So we need to alleviate that as much as we can by supplying it before it has to yell at us. The other thing is about drinking is drink it about up to 30 minutes before you eat. And the reason being is when you go to eat, you want all the juices in your stomach, the gastric juices, to be full strength and to be at their optimum. And when you drink the water or any liquid with the meal or close to it a half hour before, you have just diluted it, slowed it down, and the stomach has to deal with that fluid almost before it can digest a lot of other things. So try to get it in maybe 30 minutes before you eat and really enjoy it. And then give yourself an hour or two afterwards and then start up drinking again. As we look at meal planning, like I said, breakfast is the ultimate. At our house, we eat 2 meals a day. Sometimes on the weekend we'll have 3, but as we have found, we just feel more comfortable having breakfast, say like at 7:30, and then ideally we like to eat by 3. Now, we're very blessed that our schedule can be, is fluid like that. But even if we're eating at 5, we usually only eat that morning and that evening. And if you're going to do 3 meals, make breakfast your major, lunch your next, a little reduced from that, and supper pretty minor. With 2 meals, we're doing a regular supper during the day. So that's what we do. It's a very personal thing. It depends on your work output and what your body is demanding. And when you change your lifestyle, because this food is not calorie dense, it's nutrient dense, you're going to find that you're going to need to eat more. Like a salad isn't going to be this big. A salad is going to be big.
Yeah.
Breakfast is going to look big. Things are going to be, you're going to need more food to keep your calories up, which is wonderful because who doesn't want to eat more?
Right. Amen.
Yeah. And and now they're talking, it's become popular in the science anyway, it's coming out, called intermittent fasting. And that entails eating a meal and waiting 5 hours to 6 hours after that meal before you have your next one. And then going for that long 12 to 16 hour fast overnight. And your body really enjoys that. Also, another thing, and I can't say as I practice this, but it has wonderful benefits and I need to incorporate it, is taking 1 day a week and fasting. Meaning, adding in your fluids, you could add in juice then, and letting your body just rest and reset itself.
Kind of giving your body a Sabbath in a way, huh?
Your body is Sabbath. And even with that, going that 16 to 17 hours, whatever it is, how it works out for you, is doing that. It's giving you that needed rest, that type of Sabbath rest, meaning that everything's just quiet and at
Mm.
peace and
Mm.
rejuvenating.
Gotcha.
Another thing that is a real key to health is exercise. Having said that, I want you to know that you cannot outrun your fork. In other words, what goes on the end of your fork has more health impact than your exercise has.
Interesting.
Okay, let me see if I can tip you over here. Can you see that? It wanted to stick up there.
I see. Wow.
Oh, now if I can get it out. This is when I'm not the waffle maker at our house.
Wow, Fran, that is thick.
It is, it's a Belgian waffle. Now when you, I should call Arlen and have you do this. There it goes. When you do them in a regular waffle, they're not ironed, they're not quite as crisp. And we had the Belgian waffle maker. I've done them in regular, this waffle iron's been hot. But I like them better in the Belgian. But they work fine in the regular too.
Mm.
Anyway, back to exercise as a secret. I'm sure you've heard on, with all this COVID, that we want to build our immune systems, and they keep talking about how important exercise is in relationship to avoiding COVID or to helping you get over it. And exercise has many benefits. You don't have to go out and run marathons. You don't have to even run. All you need to do is get out and walk. If you're struggling, especially with diabetes, they know that 4 miles a day can help reverse the diabetes.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be 4 miles at once. You could break it up through the day. And when you head out and walk, you want to be at a pace that you can talk and not be gasping for air.
Okay.
And it can be a flat surface, and you're not going to start out with 4 miles a day if you're not walking. Just go out for a half a mile. Go out for 10 minutes and come back. Just start it easy, and you'll be amazed at how fast it picks up. And how it changes. Yeah, it's a big secret. I know when we went back to see Dr. Esselstyn, he shared with us, he said, I have people in wheelchairs that have had strokes, and they do a lifestyle change, and even though they cannot get up and be mobile, they still lose the weight, they still get all the benefits of the lifestyle change. So that, if you can get out and walk, you need to get out and walk. It's so important. All right, I'm going to take over to some menu planning. I have to admit, I've not been always a faithful menu planner, but I want you to know what motivated us was, I would say to my husband, what do you want for supper? And he would say, I've had to make decisions all day at work and on the freeway. I don't want to have to decide what I want to eat. That's yours. And I said, okay, let's pick 15 of our favorite, or 14 of our favorite meals. It turned out to be 15. And let's write them down. And I said, but now how will we choose which ones, how we do it? And he goes, well, I have a random number generator, he said.
Oh.
I'll put them in and we'll go that way. And so we did. And so this has a little scribbling on it. But this is our June calendar.
Okay.
And
I was wondering, Fran, would it be possible for you to get a sample of that and send it to me digitally? That way I could attach it and people could take a look. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
And you can modify. Now, when you look at it, they're going to go, they do stir fry and nachos, fettuccine, and burgers and fries, and falafels and wet burritos. They're going to say, how do you do that with your lifestyle? Well, it's because the nachos, we make homemade cheese, and we take the corn tortillas and you cut them in a triangle and you bake them in the oven, or you put them in your air fryer to crisp them up. I think
Mm-hmm.
I have some right here because last night was nacho night. So this is what they look like. And they sound like this.
Wow, that sounds like a crispy chip.
It is crispy. Of course, it doesn't have the fried flavor, which is what you'll miss initially. But it gives you that crunch. And we do our own homemade beans. And so that's how we build the nachos, with the chips, the beans, the cheese, cilantro, green onions, and tomatoes is a nacho plate. Fettuccine you can find online is cauliflower bechamel. It's a cauliflower white sauce that you make and mix it in with your noodles. But when you look at this menu, you're going to see I just have the entree on here. And I want to dispel something from your thought right now. I don't build a meal around the entree. I used to build it around a steak, roast beef, turkey. Then I went to building it around cutlets, veggie foods in a can. And then I went to building it around the vegetables. And that's where we should be looking, the vegetables and the starchy foods. So like a meal for us may be a baked sweet potato and a big salad that has kale, arugula, spinach. It'll have tomatoes. It will have canned artichokes that have been canned in water. It will have a few those natural olives. It will have shredded carrots. It will have rice. It may have cooked quinoa stirred in. It is a event in itself. And that's what you need to plan. Plan around the vegetables and the starchy vegetables, and then add your entree in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, what is the centerpiece for your meal? In other words, yeah.
That's right. And then think, I've heard people say, color your plate like a rainbow. Well, when you think, if you have an orange jam, and I like to cut them in half and bake them on a seal pad. Is that what you call those? Baking sheets. and at 375 for about 45 minutes to an hour, and it caramelizes some of that sugar in the yam. It is very good. And then have your salad, have your steamed greens. In fact, we try to have, like even with the nachos, a bowl of steamed kale. And usually I'll mix kale, chard, and some onion and some mushrooms in there. So it breaks it up. Not all the time. Sometimes it's just plain steamed kale. You just have to steam it or boil it for 5 to 7 minutes. Any longer than that, you start losing the nutrients. So it's prime, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So for us, menu planning is quite simple because we already know what we're doing for breakfast. We know what breakfast looks like 6 days a week. I just need to mentally know what fruit I need to get. Then as I look at the week, say like this week started off with stir fry. And in a stir fry, we will put yellow squash, zucchini, mushroom, broccoli, pepper, red pepper, a bell pepper of some color, black beans, drained black beans. We will put in sometimes bamboo shoots and water chestnuts. We will put in, there's one ingredient always chopped up kale goes in, and cilantro. And so as I looked at that stir fry, I go, oh, well, the next night's nachos, so I'm going to need cilantro for there, and I'll need greens. And so I know what I need there. The next night is a fettuccine, and in the fettuccine, we put the steamed carrots, steamed broccoli, the mushroom, and steamed onion. It's kind of like whatever vegetable you have in the fridge that looks good in fettuccine, steam it and put it in. Okay. And then we make a nice big salad with that. And then on Thursday night is leftovers because we couldn't eat all the stir fry, we couldn't eat all the fettuccine. And lots of times I just freeze a lot of it, so the next time it shows up on the menu, then I can just pull it out of the freezer and have it. Okay. So is this making sense?
No, yeah, it is making sense, and it's cool how you can kind of see in a broad view, kind of take a look at the landscape and figure out what nutrients you're taking in and what you're doing each day. I think that's a great way to do
Right,
it because it really
right.
helps you build off of what you've already done that way.
It does. And um, you've got squashes you can bake. There it's just so unlimited. You can take potatoes, have mashed potatoes with a dish. You can take those potatoes and cut them in half, put them face down, and bake them like you do those yams. In fact, I'll do it lots of times together. We'll have like a Yukon Gold potato and the yams on the baked together, and you can have one of each.
Mm,
So menu planning to me turned out to be, I can see in a whole month, and then I can modify as I need to. Say you're going to be out of town, you
mm,
can change that and modify it very simply to accommodate going on the road. But
yeah.
it lets me buy at the grocery store once a week.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to ask. Like shopping wise, what does this look like? Because it helps when you have it all planned out so you know what you're getting. But how many trips does this usually take? Just once a week?
Yes, I'm going to show
Wow.
you. So I kind of guesstimate on how much kale I need.
Mhm.
So I
Okay.
come home and I take my kale and my chard um, and I separate them. It looks kind of strange. And I wash them leaf by leaf and let them drain a bit. And
Okay.
then I roll them up while they're still moist in a paper towel. And then I clip them. I put them in a bag and clip it shut and put it in the vegetable drawer
Mm.
in the fridge. And so now salad making just really got easy. I just
Wow.
steaming the greens for the whole week. It's in a bag, or it's usually in 2 to 3 bags, actually.
Mhm.
We go through a lot of greens. And so that's how I keep it. I buy the spinach in a container usually. The baby spinach and the arugula I buy in a container and keep it. And if I have shredded my carrots or bought shredded carrots, I figure if I have kale, spinach, arugula, even just kale, carrots, onions, green onions, um, I can bake almost anything, and we
Mm.
can have a really good meal. And then add rice and beans and your root vegetables in, and it's that easy. It's not a complicated thing, and you can look at the menu and go shopping for 1 week. You can even do like the day that if you're going to make a homemade cheese, you make it and you say, oh, I need this much for this meal, but now by Sunday, I'm going to be doing this meal and I'll need it. So that'll keep. So should I make 1 batch or 2 batches? And then you have it all ready, because by the time you get to Sunday, usually it's a busy day. You can just
Mm.
pull it out of the fridge and be good to go. So menu
Awesome.
planning cuts down the trips. It cuts down buying needless stuff,
Mm.
and it makes life a whole lot easier. And
Oh.
plus, your husband can look at it and go, oh, I know what we're having for dinner tonight.
So his mouth can start watering ahead of time, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll say, I have to change it. Oh, but I was really looking forward to that meal.
uh, yeah, well,
Anyway,
I know too with these shopping trips too, often once you get a handle on the stores and what they offer and pricing and all that sort of thing, I know my wife often has in her head just where this is best priced, where this is best priced. You can kind of get a feel for
right.
shopping economically too once you know what's around you. Yeah.
And when you go and you look at this, I keep canned beans in my cupboard.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know how many people are close to Costco, but their Kirkland canned beans are very low in sodium and they're nice. I keep diced tomatoes,
Mm.
some staples in the fridge, in the cupboard, basic things that if I don't have time to cook beans, soak them overnight and cook them the next day, I have them in the cupboard, and that meal of beans and rice and greens and, like Lisa shared, is a 10-minute meal, and it's on the
Mm.
table.
Wow.
So um, I used to do a lot of sauces and a lot of rich foods, wore out my blender, my Vitamix. Now it doesn't get used very much because we eat so much of the whole food and make life simpler.
Well, sounds good. I appreciate your time here, Fran. And yeah, another comment I was going to make as well, just before we sign off, is I will have these um, blogs that you talked about and recipe websites. I'll add those links into the comments below the video here. So those will be available to all the viewers as well. And yeah, I'm excited about this new adventure and healing and diet that we all get to go on here. It sounds great.
Good. It's a real journey at first, but it's so rewarding.
Yes, amen. All right. Well, I appreciate your presentation. Is there anything else? I don't want to cut you short there. Anything else you wanted to add?
Longer than anticipated.
No, that's okay. And it's good material. So I'm glad I get to take in all this and broadcast it out on YouTube for others to take in and benefit from. And we'll look forward to another episode next week. Thank you so much for your time. And just want to say I'm inspired. This has been great.
Thank you. It re-inspires me.
Praise the Lord. All right. Well, until next time, everybody, we'll sign off at this point, but tune in next week for another episode. God bless.
Bye.